is up? Back, Dave the Confused. I've wanted to make this video for so long now, and things kept coming up. First, I hit 10,000 subs, and I had to make a thank you video to you guys because, you know, you're my favorite. And then Valentine's Day came up, and I was like, well, I should probably make a video something about Valentine's Day because it's Valentine's Day. So, which brings us to now this video. And a little while ago, I put a community post up asking your opinions on which slasher versus slasher fight would just be awesome to see. And who do you think would win? And again, Confused Army, you didn't disappoint, and you gave me some awesome matchups that you asked me who, in my opinion, would take the W. Well, this is Slasher versus Slasher Part 1 with the Confused Army. Now, some of these horror movie characters and icons are not necessarily slashers, but just crazy horror movie villains and just the worst of the worst, right? And we're putting them against other horror movie villains that are somewhat similar in order to make kind of an even fight. So I left it up to you guys to give me some matches, and here is match number 1. Taja wants to know who would I think would win between Chucky versus Annabelle. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, let's look at the characters here. Annabelle is a possessed doll that actually exists, so that's a point in her favor. And she basically can create almost like a haunted house just by using her own powers. And she's super demonic and just, you know, abnormally scary. Where I'm gonna go with Chucky from the original Child's Play movies, not like the AI Chucky. That Chucky is a serial killer who used voodoo to put his consciousness into a doll to avoid being arrested and killed, and has become the infamous, you know, serial killer doll Chucky. Just because of who Chucky is, I don't think he would be very affected by like the jump scares and like the haunting and the ghost stuff that happens that Annabelle creates. The atmosphere that Annabelle the doll creates in her movies to a family or to an individual, I don't think that would really affect Chucky in those ways. And I feel that Chucky is much more physical with his killing. He doesn't have superpowers or anything. He just is good with a knife and knows how to hide and is very stealthy and very creative in the way that he kills. So it's kind of a hard matchup to really make. But down to brass tacks, I think I would have to go with Chucky. Just because I think he's much more physical with how he gets the job done. And I find Annabelle goes on more of a psychological torture almost, and kind of makes you do the work for her. Don't get me wrong, I would much rather take on Chucky than Annabelle in real life, because I think with Chucky you more have a fighting chance, where Annabelle, because of who she is, kind of like a demon or an entity or a like negative spirit or something that's, you know, kind of taken over your entire like area and house. Yeah, that seems like a much more Herculean task than I think I'd be willing to do. But I'd have to say Annabelle versus Chucky. I would go with Chucky, the old Chucky, like the 80s and 80s to like 2000s Chucky, not 2018 or 19 Chucky AI, not that. So yeah, Chucky takes this one. Next fight, Jinxie Time Moss. I would like to see Jason versus Michael go head to head. Okay, this has been one that I know has been requested for forever because there's so many similarities between these two. They're two very large individuals. They seem to have some sort of supernatural powers in order for them not to be able to be killed just by like any means necessary. Both are very physically demanding and can use almost anything to kind of, you know, dismantle their victims. And they both have kind of the same purpose where Michael is after his youngest sister and Jason is after anyone who crosses Camp Crystal Lake. Okay, this is one that's gonna have to go down to like just kind of integers of who's just a little better. And my personal opinion, oh man, this is so tough. They're so similar. Like, they're... Oh man, okay, I think I'd have to go with Jason. And hold on, not because I don't think Michael is capable of beating Jason. I do think he is. But I do think Jason is a little bit stronger than Michael when it comes to just physical strength. I mean, there's 2 or 3 kills he does in the movies where he literally just squeezes the guy's head and like crushes his skull instantly. He like breaks through doors and walls just with like bare hands. But at the same time, I find that Michael is way more stealthy. He's got the act of surprise down pat. And he's just a lot more creative sometimes with his kills. But I'd have to go down to just, you know, pure aggression and just brutality, and I think Jason would win. I just think between, and it would be like by hairs, like if they fought 10 times in 10 different locations, I think Jason would win 6 and Michael would win 4. Like just barely one more integer over Michael. But I think that's probably the most even fight of all horror movies. I don't think it gets much more even than that. Okay, our next fight. Ooh, Pennywise versus Freddy Krueger from SIDA. This is a good one, and one of the reasons why this is such a good like fight together is they both have like a transformation aspect to their kills. They're both shapeshifters. They both rely on almost the creativity of their victim's mind. Here's the thing though, they both live on different planes. Pennywise lives somewhat in more reality than Freddy does. But they both require the victims and the people around them to remember who they are, to essentially give them powers. If you watch the It movies, Pennywise is only powerful when he's known and when the kids have an idea of who he is and what he's doing, and he can strike fear in them. That's when he has his power. Freddy works the same way. You watch Freddy vs. Jason, and Freddy literally brings Jason back from the dead because everyone had forgotten about Freddy Krueger. And he needed Jason to start killing people in order to make them think about Freddy Krueger again. And once they have Freddy Krueger on their mind, he can then, you know, intercept their dreams and kill them. But Pennywise kills on more of a reality plane where Freddy is mainly specifically in a dream world. So it's a good matchup. I'd have to say Pennywise would probably take this. just because I think Pennywise has more potential in his powers and his shape-shifting abilities, and he's a little more creative. Also, Pennywise has been around for a lot longer than Freddy Krueger has, and you know, in the lore of who Pennywise is and the lore of who Freddy Krueger is, Pennywise has been around for a lot longer, and he's from a whole different dimension. Also, you know, Freddy's been beaten several times over and over again, where Pennywise has technically only been beaten twice. So, you know, it's a pretty good matchup, but I think I'm gonna have to give it to Pennywise. And our last match is Ghostface from Scream versus Chucky from LFC. This is a good one. This is a good one because they're both physical serial killers, right? They're both physical slashers that exist in the reality of their movies, and they just use knives and household objects and things to do their killing. They both require stealth and trickery. I would say Ghostface relies a lot more on the stealth aspect than Chucky does. Chucky, you know, a lot of people don't believe in Chucky at first, right? And so they consider him just a dumb toy. When, you know, when people do see him, their people around them don't believe them, right? Where Ghostface from Scream, he's known as this killer that's going around in Scream, and there are people looking out for him. And, you know, there's several people that take on the mantle of Ghostface. So, ooh, in this one, I'm gonna say Ghostface. And let me tell you why, before you get mad at me and blast me out in the comments. Ghostface rarely works alone. And you have to remember, 9 times out of 10, Ghostface is usually portrayed by 2 different people. And there's only one Chucky, right? So he's outnumbered. And if Ghostface knows that Chucky's real, that he's not essentially fighting a fictional character, he knows that Chucky the Killer Doll is real, I think he has the advantage just by pure numbers. If Chucky had more of a supernatural presence, like he could like move things with his mind or something like that, or like choke you out like Darth Vader, things would be different. But that's not the case. So in this particular matchup, I have to say Ghostface, just because numbers in general. Now, if you put Ghostface against somebody that has a lot more supernatural backing, like Jason Voorhees, Ghostface doesn't stand a chance. Not a chance. But Chucky doesn't operate like that. And Chucky's been beaten. Chucky's been set on fire and melted. You know, like, Chucky gets lucky the way he comes back all the time, right? Like, gets melted down and a new one created and all that jazz. Like, you know, gets brought back from the dead by another human using voodoo. Like, he gets lucky. Ghostface is a mantle that's carried on over and over by family members of Sidney Prescott or something that, you know, want to be famous and want to take on the mantle of a serial killer. So, because of that, Ghostface wins against Ghostface and Chucky. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love doing these videos that are, you know, involve you, the confused army, and the way you comment and like the videos. I just love doing these. Thank you so much for commenting on the question on my community section of my YouTube channel. Please check there a lot because I constantly put things up there asking for your guys' input, usually for an upcoming video. So thank you so much. Well, I'm Dave the Bomb. This is Dave the Confused, and at least our dogs aren't werewolves. Peace.